to 100 years ago, the first person to be what we would now call a coder was a woman, Lady Ada Lovelace. Much later in the 1980s, the computing industry became increasingly a woman's world. Fast forward to today, what's the computing scene like for women? Well, that's what today is all about, women in computing. This is the SESE Open House feature on women in computing. I'm Rakshita Arun, a final year student in the School of Computer Science and Engineering here at NTU. It is my pleasure to be your moderator of today's panel discussion. Today is all about celebrating women in the computing industry. And we have with us some very special guests who happen to be NTU alumni and are now leading ladies in the tech and computing industry. A very warm welcome to you, Julian, Shuwei, Joyce, and Neha. We're super excited to have you with us here today. The chat today is to understand what the corporate space is like for women tech aspirants. There's a multitude of roles for women to take up in the computing industry, and we're going to hear all about it from the women themselves. At this juncture, I would like to introduce the panelists for today. Julian Chong graduated from NTU in 1993 when the School of Computer Science was still known as the School of Applied Sciences. She's currently the founder and managing partner at Mike Bosworth Leadership. Mike Bosworth Leadership was established in 2012, and ever since it has been providing coaching sessions for people to build their influencing skills, storytelling, and also build emotional connections. Shuwei Ong graduated from NTU in 2018 and is currently a technical analyst at Thought Machine. Joyce Chua too graduated from NTU in 2018 and is currently working as a solutions manager at ATOS. From the same batch of 2018, we have Neha Prakash, who is working in the Business Insights and Analytics team at Amazon Web Services. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us today, and we're so excited to have you back right here at NTU. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into the panel discussion. So we were talking about NTU, right, and the good old days. So let's start with talking about when exactly did all of you decide that computers or computing and technology was your calling? Was it always something that you knew, or was there a road to discovery?
Maybe I'll go first.
Please do, Neha.
So I think I have a funny backstory to this, and two pivotal moments in my life basically made me decide computer science, I would say.
Right.
One, I was in primary 4, and we had these Windows 95 desktop computers, and I was allowed to boot it up on my own, like full autonomy, right? Boot it up on my own, play pinball or Minesweeper, and shut it down on my own. Like, I didn't need any parental supervision, and I got really good at that game. So that was one, and in Sec 2, I remember my school did a really awesome initiative where they added a 6th subject, like an additional subject to maths, sciences, and everything. And the subjects were arts, entrepreneurship, or computer science. And I chose computer science, and I absolutely loved it because I did my first Python programming and my first website design where I'm introducing myself and all that stuff, and it was amazing. And I think that led me to do business applications in public poly and computer science in NTU. I absolutely knew that I wanted to do this since day one, and it was scary.
That is such a fun story, right? From pinball to Hello World.
Yeah.
Now, full-time career in tech. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
For me, I think I decided to do tech in polytechnics. So actually, from secondary school, I'm taking up economics, and then I'm like, okay, I'll go business in poly. So then end up, I have my result out. I was like, oh, okay, I can the nearest to business that I can go is business informatics from MIT. So at that course, we get to choose like the path we want to go to, more business or more IT during our 3rd or 2nd year. So after trying out for first year doing applications, doing like Java programming, all this, I decided programming, something that I really like. So I actually specialized in IT during my 3rd year. So from that moment, I already know that IT is what I prefer other than the other things. So it's glad that I went through this route and get to learn from both worlds and then have a decision. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So for me, my story in the technology world would be also from poly, I think. Blame myself for not doing so well during my secondary school days. Then that time when IT was also trending also, and I started with my own designing of my own blog, where you just write nonsense on their blog. Then that's when I get into IT from Ngee-Ann. IT, then after NTU Computer Science. Yeah.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah, for me, I was born and raised in Malaysia. So, in the late 80s, I guess after I finished my pre-university, I was just hoping to get into a course where I can quickly get a job and pay back my tuition fee loan. So people tell me, computer tech, very good, sure get job done. Yeah, so.
It's like a hot industry, right?
No, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was the hot industry then, and it is still the hot industry now. So I guess we're on the
It
right
got
track.
even hotter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So it's very lucky.
Absolutely. Thank you. So for a lot of you, it started from school, a few of you from secondary, and a few of you from NTU itself. So thank you for sharing. All right, so let's move on to the next question, right? So can you tell us what it is like to be a woman in tech? In the sense that I just want to understand what is the work that you do on a daily basis, and how will you describe a typical day in your working life?
Okay, so I can go first. Working as a technical analyst, so my daily job scope will be like understanding and analyzing the business requirement, making them into technicals, and doing proof of concept for our clients on our products. Doing sometimes we will do some ad hoc supporting technical queries. Yeah, so that will be my day-to-day scopes will be like. So women in tech, so it's very fortunate that I'm currently in this company called Top Machine, which is very encouraging in women in engineering. So we have these groups that has all the women in engineering, so we are supporting each other. There will be like the seniors leads in the companies that actually guides you on your career path, give you more support on what you need. So I think that is more, I feel women in tech are more bonded, yeah, and supporting each other. So that's what we call this like a male dominance industry, but there's already a lot of women out there that is, yeah, to guide you. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, I'll go next. I think I'll build on her answer, but I don't think any day is the same for me. I'll start with that, so I won't be able to say that for you. But generally, my role involves communicating with the stakeholders. I need to get business requirements. I need to understand what they actually want as a product. So it could range from a dashboard, a simple machine learning model, up to a full-blown predictive model workflow that I have to build. So a typical week for me would be talking to the customers, understanding what they require, go back into my data engineering side of things, digging the data, understanding patterns to see if there's any alerts or anything that I can provide to the stakeholders or customers. And then we have a full-blown brainstorming session that we do in our team, and it's a must every week because we want to push each other and make sure that there's no mistakes in our solutions. And then we finally output it to the stakeholders. So I'll do presentations and I'll do any walkthroughs or training as well. So that is a typical week, and yeah, I won't be able to pinpoint one single thing, but that's a typical week for me. Yeah.
So I'll take turn. So 25 years in IT, and I have done IT sales for 20 years before I founded my course with leadership. So in our business, we help people who are selling B2B in IT. And in doing sales in IT, I find that being a woman is an advantage because it's a people business. So the technology per se, in Singapore, we're catching up and all that, but we don't really invent a lot, so much product, maybe like Silicon Valley, that kind of thing. Yes, so naturally, as a women communicate better. We bring empathy. We bring connection into the workplace. And I like what two ladies. Can you see that? For them, it's like making sure human beings understand each other, because technology itself is useless without us figuring out the usage.
That's personal touch.
Yes. That's
really nice.
Okay, so for me, my day-to-day, so actually I'm a pre-sales in Atos, so I do solutioning, and for customer, every day pre-COVID we have a 15-minute stand-up meeting. Yeah, so we will actually discuss internally within the team what is our struggles and actually which area we need help with, and then our teammate will actually give us suggestion on the spot. So from then on, we have the daily tasks. Yeah, and we aim to finish our daily task daily. Yeah. So for my company, actually we have we celebrate the International Women's Day yearly. So they give us like events and celebration where we actually come together and actually we share about how we feel and actually how we feel or what's happening in the team. And it's an all women's event, so we actually feel very safe in that area. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think there was, although all of you shared about your technical roles and responsibilities, there was of course like a common theme, as Julian pointed out. It was the personal aspect to the work you do. So along those lines, right, all of this is really exciting, and I'm sure you listed a lot of things. But if you had to pinpoint one particular thing that's the best part about being a woman in tech, what would you say it is for you and why?
I think for me, I would think, like as previously said, women in tech, they are very encouraging. We have already leaders, women out there that is very supportive to the younger generation like us. So I think nowadays, women in tech, it's not like the old days that you can't do it, you can't do this, you're being looked down on. I think for me, it's quite fortunate I don't experience any of this. Like maybe my more seniors, leaders out there does, but yeah. So I think now for women in tech, it's very encouraging. So and you can do really what you like as compared to the, I mean, like old days, they are being looked down on. Yeah.
So can I just jump off of what she said? And I want to be responsible in what I say here. And unless someone is telling us that the female brain and the male brain, you know, in terms of computer engineering, the male brain is actually proven to be stronger, or, you know, I look forward to the day where this question is no longer asked. It's just like, is there a difference between a woman eating hamburger and a man eating hamburger? So, but in terms of, you say us, like, women support each other, that happens in every aspect of life too.
Absolutely.
I think diversity of thought and perception for me was a big game changer, I think, in the teams that I've worked with, especially with huge diverse themes, not only gender, also backgrounds, right? What I've seen is when we have alternate viewpoints, we kind of push boundaries, and when you're able to widen your horizons, you'll be able to think out of the box, and you get outcomes that are so magical that you probably might not have when you just were with the same group of people. That I think that was one big thing for me, because like one example I could give is when we have a discussion where, you know, we have women versus men. We're wired differently, just like she said, right? We are wired differently, and we have different experiences that we cannot compensate with each other, and it is something that we only have. And when that is brought in, we've made some beautiful, you know, consensus discussions based on that, and I think that diversity is very important, and that's how we as women stand out.
So it's like playing on our strengths.
What we bring to the table is something different. Yeah.
And required, I would say.
People understanding each other, you know.
Different perspective.
Right?
Yeah,
because human being, you can't be like API where you program to you know, it doesn't work always like that. Human being, we need listening, we need patience, we need compassion.
This connection on like a deeper level.
Absolutely.
Helps.
I just loved one thing Julian said about, you know, I wish we don't hear about that anymore.
Yeah.
It's women, men, it's humans, we're people. All the same, we can do the same things.
Yes, yes.
But actually, I feel that the ratio between female and male is actually quite similar. Even you call this a male dominant. But most of the companies nowadays are actually looking forward to hiring women in IT as well. And they so-called prioritize that women in IT because they want, as what Meha said, a different of experience and different viewpoint.
so all of you were sharing about how it's really nice to have other women to lean on at the workplace too. So picking up from what Joyce was talking about, do you notice a lack of women in tech though? Have you noticed that there is
A lack of women
a
in
lack
tech.
of women in tech or less number of women in the workplace than men? And if so, why do you think this happens in today's world?
So I'll just jump in first. I'm in sales.
Right.
It's the top salespeople are a lot of women. So I don't notice that there is a.
It's a great thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't notice. It's a different question if you're asking me board of directors of tech company. But that's not what we're talking about.
Oh, but would you like to share about that? Like in higher positions? Is that what you
I have the pleasure of working for higher women who made it there. But I think they make, from my standpoint, people make it to leadership position in companies because they're good leaders. You know, men, women bring different things, and for I guess if that's what you want in life, then it's a function of how well you understand what is needed out of you. Then people will, because you're leading somebody, you need to have followers in that sense, yeah. So I won't approach it. I won't approach that question from gender because I think we're going nowhere. It's not a fun conversation.
What I think was, mainly if I was really engineering industries whereby like TAs or like software engineer, mainly I would say a lot of more males than female. Even in our schools days during the course, at least for my batch, there's more male than females. But I think it's not about how much and how many, it's your personal preference. So you can be a female and you really like it, so you jump in it. Doesn't mean that because female is needed in this industry, that's why we make them to do it. So it's a personal preference. So I don't think there's a female or male choice within this.
But based on like interests.
It's an
skills,
interest.
right?
I have a slightly interesting viewpoint, just because I've been asked this question a lot.
Okay.
And I thought about it, and I think I understand why this question does stem up. So traditionally, there were more men just because women did not have that many opportunities, right? Like a long time ago. And there were not enough role models for people like me to look up to, right? And when you have more role models right now, the curve is shifting. The world is changing. There's more and more tech women leaders in the market. But there's one thing I have thought about very deeply, and I hope I don't step the line here, but I do think some women, from the conversations I've had, they are apprehensive of testing waters in the tech space. A question I get every time is it hard? Is coding hard? I don't know if I'll be able to make it. What if I don't know what I'm going to do? It's okay, just jump. We all did, right? And if you don't jump, you won't understand. But I think more role models are coming up. And if you go and talk to them, you'll know. Even it was hard for them.
It's a very interesting perspective.
I don't really have an answer to this question.
It's alright, you want to skip it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you were not telling me about, how you've noticed a particular lack or probably the right number of women in tech. But personally, from your personal experiences, have you felt any sort of discrimination in your workplace, or have you ever been looked upon or treated differently just because you're a woman?
I think for me, no. I would say no. So I feel that I'm quite fortunate. I don't feel this discrimination. Instead, I'm being very supported as a woman in tech. So far I don't really feel these things. So I don't think that's true. I'm not sure, but maybe some people experience that. So I'm quite fortunate. And for the company that I work with or I work in, they have like communities with women to support, and then they are quite encouraging for women to join this industry. I don't feel any of it.
I don't think so as well. So I have not faced any gender discrimination, and from anybody who I've met or talked to, or my colleagues or my peers, in AWS especially, I think we're very, they push for people to be more of like, I want your strength and I want your right mindset in. I don't really care about where you're from or who you are. And you should see the assessments that we go through. It is so vigorous and everybody gets the same thing. I know because I'm assessing them now. So everybody's treated the same. For me, it doesn't even matter who you are, as long as you have the right mindset and the right tools to find.
Yeah. I'm so happy the world is so open and one of the more enjoyable aspects is, when you're treated as a lady,
Yeah.
Yeah. And a word about if you're talking about being discriminated against because you feel like maybe a certain job positions open up and you didn't get it because you're a woman. Yeah, I have not personally faced it and I don't really see it. But in cases where I failed, made mistakes, fell in a manhole, and banged my face against something, it was really when I didn't listen, when I was, I let my ego get the best of me. So it's a very human kind of thing. So what I'm saying is, if you don't get something, don't just straight away say, oh, because I'm a woman. Yeah, look into yourself further and maybe you'll find the answer. That was useful.
For myself, I also am fortunate that I don't get any gender discrimination issues. I think most importantly is like you yourself, you need to have a confidence and you need to stand up as a woman. You need to portray yourself as a professional that so that no one else will actually look down upon you. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Take the power, don't wait for it.
Yeah, I love that. So how are we doing so far? Are you getting the content that you feel will inspire a young lady A-levels to want to come and?
Yes, I think so. I think this is good. I think it was just to give them a sort of idea about what it is, like not inside the classrooms, but outside the classrooms and in the working world. So yeah, I think we have just one final question left, and that's going to be about what advice you would like to give women. But before we start rolling, do you have anything else you would want me to throw light on? Then we can probably talk about that.
Your experience in NTU, how did it develop you to be the confident, amazing, successful young lady that you are today?
I think a lot of exposures that we get in NTUs, be it the school CCAs, the curriculum that you join, FOCs, events, or like the hall. We have the hall that we really I feel like I enjoy that part because you mingle with friends, you're doing homework, stay overnight, do with your friends together, prepare presentation together. After that, you go to suppers together, interact with different people. Because in school you are just with your own course mate together, but in hall you got all different kind of course mate there.
Yes.
From different schools, business schools, humanities schools. So when you go out to have events in the hall or having supper there, you get to know different aspects of the different industry as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's the very amazing part in NTU.
Absolutely. The campus life is really happening.
Yes, and it really helps you to network, to speak to other different kinds of people. Yeah.
I think I would thank Rekha a little bit because she pulled me into the student ambassador program, and I think because of my polytechnic education, I was a bit more outgoing already, but I was very focused on computer science, and I wanted to let everybody know how amazing it was. So I got involved in these activities, and I took a point to also take a course, take an FOC that is not related to my faculty. So I joined the investment club. So then I'll be with completely strangers, and I was with banking crew, and I love finance. So I thought, why don't I try that as well? So I think that for me, and the projects that I did were very amazing because you'd be thrown into like MDP, right? Multidisciplinary project. It's a random team. You have to lead it. And my team was actually coined as the don't look at them because there's not too many first class honors of that one. But we came out first at the end, and I loved my team, and we're still together. So it's like, I think that all shaped us. Yeah.
Actually, my experiences in NTU has already shaped me and guided me towards what I am today. So you are actually forced to step up to actually lead a team or even to do your presentation. And especially if NTU offers a lot of other modules that actually you can try out. And I took different languages like Korean and Spanish. So in those classes that actually you know different people and you get competitive as well. So and it's actually really fun. Yeah, you just have to go ahead and actually try different experiences.
Absolutely.
I think the three of them went to a different school than me.
Quite literally also, it's SCSE now, it was SAS then. So would you like to share with us? Would you like to share with us how NTU helped you in your journey and how it contributed?
Well, I say it's more different world, different generation also. Gosh, but the excitement is there, it's bustling, and my batch was the second batch, School of Applied Science. In fact, we were called ComTech then, Computer Technology, and the entire faculty was really trying to forecast ahead, you know, in really thinking how can they equip us in the best way possible. And they gave us a lot of subjects to pass. So we worked our ass off. I mean, you know, I don't mean to discourage people, but it brings out the best in you. I mean, they don't want you to fail, but they also load you with a lot. So coming out from this, you know, I guess your confidence in life, you know, heightens because you really earned it. And yeah, it's character building, I suppose.
Absolutely. I think I would like to add to that, like you said, I'm a final year student and I absolutely agree that I think all this while we've been stressing about coursework, but then in hindsight, I think the grind has been very gratifying. And just like all of you shared, I think and it gives us the opportunity to explore courses beyond our major, and it's really helped a lot of us sort of, you know, discover where our talent and interests actually lie. And apart from that, I think all the projects that we get, maybe through coursework or also through the case competitions and the hackathons that we're exposed to, I think that really helps us develop, again, our skills. And I think very importantly, internships, NTU opens, I think, a door to a lot of internship opportunities, and that really gives you and all of us a glimpse about what the working world is like.
Yes.
So I think in that way,
Yes.
it does help a lot.
Yes, and just to add something, as second batch, after that, you know, I keep looking every year, SCSE and NTU is the visibility and the brand name, you know, it's so amazing now. So, you know, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, I mean, that's
Very proud.
yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. So it's now time to conclude our discussion. But since we've been talking about our journeys and what happened in NTU, is there something that you wish you had known earlier? Is there any advice that you wish you'd been given earlier? And is there any advice that you would like to give women tech aspirants? Would either pursue computers now or who are looking to step into the corporate world?
I mean, for me, I wish that I was get involved in this tech or programming earlier, so that I know that's what I really like. But to the new students out there, whether male or females, I would say that if you really like it and you're really passionate about it, just do it with no fear. You won't get to know if you don't try it out. So yeah, if you really think you want it to do it, just do it. Yeah.
Take the plunge.
Yeah.
I think first of all, I would just have to say that whether you're a man or a girl, that doesn't matter. You can do anything literally that you want to do as long as you have, according to me, right tools and right mindset. And with this space, right, with technology, you can actually learn anything you want with a click of a button. Compared to other specialties, right? You can learn everything. So go take up free courses if you're not confident in something. And the second thing I would urge women to do is find role models. It doesn't have to be a CEO of the company. It could be your peer, your colleague, anybody in your organization who you aspire to be like. Go and talk to them, because I did. And that's how I alleviated my concerns that I had about this industry. And you realize that there's nothing actually to fear about. It's your passion that will drive you. And one last thing, I would like to say, ask, ask, ask. Nothing is going to be given to you. You have to ask your right way through.
Because keep formulating. So the question is there any advice then? Yeah. It's a competitive sector. Everything new. You think you're king of the world today, and tomorrow something else will come. So I would actually just advise, speaking to my younger self, just enjoy the ride, and for women especially, practice self-compassion. Just grow and just have fun with it. It's take other people seriously, take your job seriously, but don't take yourself self-compassion. Love yourself first, and then just start the new game again.
That's really nice. I wish I heard that actually. Now that I think about it.
We've heard now.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, my advice to my younger self is that actually you just have to trust yourself, go with the flow. Sometimes unexpected things makes miracles.
You just trust the process, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think this has been a really interesting discussion. And like they say, empowered women empower women, and I think we've seen that here today. So it was indeed very lovely to be in the company of such wonderful women, and I hope all of you have learned a great deal just by listening in. I would like to thank you all for being here today and for inspiring us just by sharing your journey. So one thing that we noticed that they all have in common is that all of their journeys started right here at SCSC in NTU. Being a student here myself, I can attest that NTU unlocks a host of opportunities, and SCSC equips us with the skills and competencies that we require to step out there in the corporate working world. Back here too, we have a strong group of women in tech in the form of our academic staff. These are our professors who have, I'm sure you'll all agree, in tiny, big and countless ways touched our lives and inspired us with the knowledge they wield and also the leadership positions that they take on here at NTU. For many of us, the fascination of a particular field or a particular subject, like you shared, begins right here in the classroom in NTU, and I'm sure we have a lot of our professors to thank for this. So as we've been talking about women in computing, it's also particularly inspiring to note that the chair of SCSC currently is a woman in computing herself. Prof. Miao Chun Yan is a pioneer in human-centered AI that has significant impact on health, aging, and education. Prof. is a council member of the Singapore Computer Society and also a fellow of the Academy of Engineering Singapore and the Institution of Engineers at Singapore. She was recently named in the inaugural Singapore 100 Women in Tech for her significant contributions to the tech sector in Singapore. It's indeed very humbling and also inspiring to be surrounded by such influential women on a daily basis. So we began today's discussion by asking what it is like for women to be in tech and to be in computing. And I hope this conversation has left a lot of you in the audience asking yourselves where you see yourself in computing and tech. Thank you once again, all of you, for being such lively participants and for being here today. It was my pleasure to be your host. This was the SCSC Open House feature on women in computing, and this is Rakshita Arun signing off.